Hey guys, we're on page 299 and 300 in our math books. It's all review stuff, but I wanted to go ahead and go through some of these things. Some of you guys struggled a little bit with the two-digit multiplication and also with the averaging, so I wanted to go over that a little bit more slowly in this lesson. Make sure that we're going to do number 1, A and B, and number 2, A and B, and then we're going to be doing some on the next page as well, but let's go ahead and focus on those 4 problems first. So we have 34 times 16. Our first thing that we need to do, and I want you to keep this in mind, we're going to ignore this 1 and just do 34 times 6, just like it was normal number. Okay, you guys did pretty good with that first step. So 6 times 4 is 24, putting a 2 above the 3, so we're carrying it. And then 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 2 is 20. Okay, and up until this point, everyone seemed to have been doing pretty okay with this first step. It's when we do this 1 in that tens place that we're multiplying that everyone seemed to be getting a little bit confused with some things. So big thing to remember, before we multiply anything else, we need to put a 0 somewhere. Where do we put the 0? Right, we put the 0 underneath this 4, underneath this 1's place right here, because we're multiplying by the tens place, and that's what we need to do to notate that we are multiplying by the tens place. We put a 0 right there. If we had another number right here, in the hundreds place, we would be putting 2 zeros right there. Okay, so same thing. In order to show that we're multiplying by a number in the tens place, put a 0 right there. Always, 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 always. No exceptions. So go ahead and take this 1, and we'll take this 1 and multiply it by the numbers up here. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3, and we're not using that 2 because that 2 already got used. You can cross it out if you need to. And then we're going to go ahead and add. Mostly everyone seemed to do pretty good with the rest of the problem. It's just putting that 0 there that a lot of you seem to forget about, which I understand. It's pretty new. You know, we're not all going to be doing it perfectly, the first time. But as long as you're doing it correctly, over and over and over and over again, it will be easier to do. So the more you do it correctly, the easier it's going to be for you to do, just like anything else we do. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 0 is 4. And 2 plus 3 is 5. And my answer is 544. What I want you to do is pause the video right now and do letter B. I'm not going to do letter B with you on the board, but I want you to pause the video right now and do letter B of number 1. Okay, you should have paused the video and done letter B. Again, I want you to do it on your own, get some good practice in. We're going to do number 2 right now, this averaging. All right, so we have this list of numbers up here. Now, something that some people may have done, it says in the instructions to circle the answer. You're not circling one of these numbers, so don't do that. Don't circle one of these numbers because that's not what you're supposed to do. You need to, first step, add the numbers together. Now, if you want to just put an equal sign and just put what the answer is, if you can do that, sure. But it's easier for me, and I know it's probably easier for you, to add the numbers straight up and down, like a normal addition problem. So I will rewrite the numbers, and I wrote them up here like this because that's how it's written in your book. But what I like to do, and it makes it a little bit easier for me, it might make it easier for you, is I will take this first number and I'll leave it there. I'll take this second number and copy it down underneath. So 73. Take this next number and copy it underneath that. 84. And this next number and copy it underneath. Now, something you need to be careful about when you're copying these numbers is keeping the place value correct. So don't do like this. Why is this not correct? I copied down 112, but I didn't put it in the correct place. Why is it not correct? Right, this 1 and 112, and this 1 and 112 are not in the correct place value. This 9, 3, and 4 is in the ones place value. This 2 is in the ones place value. It needs to be lined up, and right now it's not. So that's not correct. So let's go ahead and erase this one and write it in the correct place value. So 112, 2 should be right there. My 1 from my tens place needs to be there, and my 1 from my 100ths place goes there. You could write a 0 in front of these three numbers and it would not change them, but it would show that there is a number in the 100ths place value, and that number is of course 0, but I don't need to write it right now. So draw a line underneath and add the numbers together. So we have 9 plus 3, we have 9, 10, 11, 12, so it's 12 plus 4, 12 plus 4 is 16, plus 2 is 18. We're going to draw an 8 right there. Am I going to put a 1 right here? No. 1 goes up here. I carry it into my tens place. So now I have 8 and 7. I know 8 plus 7 is 15, plus 1 is 16, plus 1 is 17, plus 1 is 18. Again, draw an 8 down there, carry my 1 over here, and now I have this 1 right here, and this 1 right here. 1 plus 1 is 2. So this is the first part of my answer. Now this is not my answer. This is my answer for if my question was asking to add it together, but they're asking to average it. When we average, we take our answer. If you want to go ahead and draw a division sign right there, might be good, or wherever you have room for it in your book. Take this answer that we got in our addition problem, 288 is what I have, and we're going to divide it. What number are we going to put here? Right, let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers were added together, so we're going to use 4 when we average, and then we're just going to divide. So we have 4 will go into 2 0 times. Put a 0 right there. And we can skip that 0 to go 4 into 28. I know that 4 will go into 28 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. 28 minus 28, well that's easy, that's 0, and 0 is smaller than 4, it's a good comparison. Carry down my 8. 4 will go into 8, well, 4, 8, I counted by 4s 2 times, so I'm going to say 4 will go into 8 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 minus 8 is 0. And my answer is 72. Go ahead and circle that. And same thing that we did with the multiplication. I had you do A and B in the multiplication. I'm going to have you do A and B with this averaging. I'm not going to do letter B with you. I want you to do it on your own. But I wanted to kind of go through this to kind of review how to do this, because I noticed some of you kind of struggled with multiplication. Maybe you struggled with 1. Maybe you struggled with multiplication but not averaging. Maybe you struggled with averaging but not multiplication. Maybe you didn't struggle with either. Maybe you struggled with both. So everyone had like their own unique situation going on with their math test, but I wanted to make sure that I went over both averaging and multiplication, the 2-digit multiplication, just in case you needed me to go over it. Go ahead and turn over to page 300 when you are finished with letter B. Page 300, number 4, we're going to do A and B, just like we've been doing. I'll do both of these on the board. I do want to mention, if you have not already done letter B from number 1 and letter B from number 2, I want you to pause the video right now and go and do those right now before we move on. So if you've already done it, then let's just continue. Number 4, letter A, a box of 8 pencils costs $3.59. How much would 56 pencils cost? Well, the box has 8 pencils in it. I want to buy 56 pencils. So they're asking, first we need to figure out how many boxes I need to buy. I already know I want to buy 56 pencils. One box has 8 pencils. 56 is how many I want to buy. If I divide these two numbers, I can figure out how many boxes 56 pencils would be. So let's figure that out. 8 will go into 56 how many times? 7. 7 times 8 is 56. And 56 minus 56 is 0. So this is 7 boxes. Now it's not asking me how many boxes would I be buying. It's saying how much would it cost. So one box is $3.59. So let's put over here $3.59. And that's how much one box is. And I'm going to buy 7 boxes. So I'm going to buy a box for $3.59, and then another one for $3.59, and then another one for $3.59, and then another one for $3.59. So I could add $3.59 together 7 times, or I can just take $3.59 times 7 and get my answer. So let's go ahead and multiply, because I think that will be a little bit easier, a little bit faster. Let's go ahead and multiply. 7 times 9 is 63, I believe. 7 times 5 is 35. 35 plus 6 is what? I believe 41. And 7 times 3 is 21. 21 plus 4 is 25. And this is my answer. And if you were asking, if the question was asking like how much change would you get if you gave the cashier $30, you would take $30 minus this number, but it's not asking that. So let's go ahead and take a look at letter B. Letter B, it says, what would the perimeter of a hexagon with 10-inch sides be? So if I had a hexagon, well, first of all, how many sides is a hexagon? I have the word hexagon. Do you remember how many sides a hexagon has? I have a little bit of a way to remember hexagon. I always look at this letter right here. Can you think of any numbers that has that letter in it, in the word? Right, the number 6. 6 has an X in it. Hexagon has an X in it. So I always remember that hexagon has 6 sides because they both have X in it. That kind of helps me to remember. So if I have a hexagon, well, let's see if I can even draw a hexagon. I have a side right here. Side, side, side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I have another one here and here, that would be 5, 6. Okay, so if I have 10 inches for each side, I have 10 inches here, 10 inches here, 10 inches here, 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 and here. Could I just take this 10 inches and multiply it by how many sides I have, which would be 6 sides, and get my answer? So I have 10 times 6, of course I know that's 60, so my answer would be 60. 60 what though? 60 inches. That's my answer for letter B. Number 5, I want you to do letter B and letter C. And number 6, letter A and letter B. Make sure that you're being careful with those thermometers, that you put the line just right across. I'm not going to have you do any of the homework at the bottom of the page, and I'm not going to work through any more on the board with you. So go ahead and do those problems, and then you will be done.